Hello, I'm Ed Fenning. About 6 years ago, I used to write for a magazine called PC Zone. Then after that, I used to work on a magazine called, thank you, PC Zone fans. Long dead, in the grave, but still remembered. And then I used to work for PC Gamer. Yeah. Woo! Thank you, references. This is what this talk's based on. Okay, so my talk, if you can remember from your Eventbrite tickets, is Video Game Conundrum 67. How to correctly lead lines to use munitions when you're in fact a donkey. Want to have a little bit of fun now? So I'm going to divide the audience. From to the left over here, you are now Group A. So I'll go from you, you're going to be in Group B. From this side of the room. We'll debate that later. And I want you by yourself to be Group 1. I'll come back to this. Okay, so this is more a warm-up for me and to sort of wake everyone up. It's the end of the evening. So I'm going to ask, are video games great? I want you all to go, yeah! So, Group A, are video games great? Yeah! Okay, Group B, are video games great? Yeah! Yes!
Oh, sorry, I've got the mic.
And now, Group 1, are video games great?
Yeah!
Oh, good effort, good effort. Okay. Okay, so most of the talks this evening have been about sports, have been about esports. Mine is taking the competitive theme in a different direction. So, the benefits we hear about video games, you will hear things are negative, where video games, they'll ruin your eyesight, they'll ruin your posture, they'll corrupt your mind, they'll desensitize you to issues. On the other hand, they'll sort of enable the crippled, they'll increase your reflex potential, they'll allow you to explore new worlds, new feelings. I'm going to talk about video games as a method to come to terms with failure. Like the failure of who you can be, the failure of what you can do, and how that's all okay at the end of the day. So the video game I'm going to be talking about, I don't have a projection here, I'm going to use a fancy notepad instead to remember my talk. I'm going to be using the game ARMA 2. Who here is familiar with ARMA 2? Yeah. Oh, okay, right. So, for the uninitiated, ARMA 2 is a war simulation. That sounds quite boring, and it is in a way. Back in about 2010, I got into playing ARMA 2 with a big group called Folk. Now, what Folk did, they would design a specific mission you could go play. These missions would tend to last about an hour, but they could involve about 100 people, all in one scenario. We could sometimes play against AI, bots. What I'm going to focus on now is what we used to call our adversarial missions. In adversarial, we'll split that group down the middle. It'll be 50 on one side, 50 on the other. The way ARMA works, as I said, it's a war simulator, very serious, should take it seriously. It works on the chain of command. And if there's anything sadder than taking a chain of command seriously in a video game, I don't know what is. But basically, ARMA would work where you'd have, at the bottom level, you'd have a squad of 4 people. Above that, well, in a squad, you'd have a squad lead. A squad lead reported to your section lead. A section lead could have about 2 to 5 squads underneath him, so this is already too many people. There could be about 2 to 4 sections, and then above that, there was a commander who was trying to keep track of all those people, and then it would also have like 2 to 8 side sections, which could be about 2 people each. What those side sections did could be very interesting. It could be like a recon sniper team, or it could be someone driving a transport truck for an hour. I was the one driving a transport truck for an hour in the game. And while it sounds strange to admit that, there's something very satisfying about being part of a well-oiled machine in a game. And ARMA is the game for it. Now, when it comes to being an adversarial game, when I started playing ARMA, I was at a low point in my life. I'd been messed around in a job, I'd failed to be paid for the things I wanted to, I wasn't asserting myself, I would have never got in front of an audience and had a microphone in front of me, for instance. So I was quite sad and I came to games. As Christos mentioned earlier, there's people who have games they come to in comfort. And ARMA was a game I started coming to in comfort. And what I did in that was I decided I'd start taking risks. I thought, okay, so if you remember my earlier thing of squad lead, section lead, commander, if not, don't worry, it's only a slight part of the talk, that I'd be a squad lead at first. Okay, I can lead at least 4 other people in battle. This is going to work for me. So I'll designate them Group A, Group B, Group 1, and I'll try to give them orders. Now, I recorded the first time I played as a squad lead, and that's a file I'll never let see the light of day. Yes, Jake was actually there. It's quite disappointing, really. But in my head, before I came to be a squad lead in this game, I'd never been challenged on a position of leadership or having to be an authority itself. I was used to writing, I could post articles online, I could work in magazines, that was fine. But when it came to actually inspiring others around me and having to take responsibility, this was something completely new and alien to me. And now in my head I had an idea that I'd be cool, I'd be suave, I'd give the best instructions in the world. That didn't happen. Instead, what I came across as was, as it does sometimes still tonight, quite jittery, not fully confident in myself. In my squad of 4 people, there was one who was less sure than me, somehow. There's one off doing their own thing, and then there's a third person who basically took over my job from the word go through sort of passive-aggressive assertion. It wasn't Jake, by the way, just to get him off the hook. Now, it's not a nice feeling to find that no one has confidence in you. Someone is willing to usurp you as they have no confidence in your leadership skills. Now, I don't have the best speaking voice, I'm not the bravest leader in the world, but it made me sad. But the things I came to realise, taking risks like this in ARMA, was that there's things lacking in my own life that I wasn't come to terms with. The ability to put myself out there, the ability to speak in a group of people. As before, I'd rather just be quiet and seem smart than to actually put myself out there and seem stupid. It came to sort of organisation. It came to so many different things which I was running away from in my life at the time, and I was failing because of it. Now, in ARMA, I carried on playing after sort of getting rebuffed again and again, and each time I'd come to learn more about why I would fail. And it became okay. It became just a better part of me, basically. But each time I started to take on more responsibility, and even though the organisation was a lot, I could still mess up. It would do okay. One time I even went for commander in charge of 50 people against 50 other people. I fucked up again, of course, because it's me. But I found that even though it felt like I'd gone back to step 1 after taking the highest point that I could, feeling I'd got to that level, and then just to find that I'd messed it all up again, it was okay. I talked to people afterwards, and the external failure I felt wasn't actually as bad as what I'd been believing in my head to be. And so, ARMA, I found, and other video games that I now play, like Dota 2, Counter-Strike, Source, and Global Offensive, but video games are this beautiful space where you can fail, you can fuck up, you interact with other people, but it's okay. You become a stronger person in this safe haven of video games. And there's times now where, such as taking this talk tonight, you can have your own judgments on it, but I believe I've come a long way. I've become this better person because of the time I've spent in video games. So, I'd like to thank video games for making me a better person. I'd like to thank them for teaching them that it's okay, I still fuck up, but at the end of the day, I'm still me and I'm still moving forward. And that is basically the conclusion of my talk. If anyone...
Sorry, Ed. Just while you're up there, I've got a question.
Okay.
When's your birthday, Ed?
My birthday is the 27th of May.
That's tomorrow, Ed. How
Yeah.
old are you?
25.
25 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, happy
Yeah.
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Edward Fenning. Happy birthday to you. And the cheers, guys. Come on. Has anyone else got any questions?
So after all that, what do you do now?
Now I still write for a living. I've moved away from video games. I'm sort of getting back into it with this and other things. I lift tyres for a living. I also film and design websites. But I'm getting there. Thank you.
Thank you. Have you found you've been able to apply the skills you learned in ARMA to practical things in the real world?
Well, I might have fucked up with my talk then, because that was sort of the gist of it, that... like, I did have my notepad carefully prepared, then I forgot to refer to it properly throughout, because I realised I went incredibly off tangent. I went to paragraph 6 before I went to paragraph 1. But the fact you didn't notice that, maybe it means I did okay. But, well, yeah, so it's something where now I've had to manage small teams of my own sometimes when I've been on projects filming or when I've been doing photography shoots. And even though it is stressful, the fact that I've known that stress and I've know how to organise a team better, know how to speak to people to get them to do things, and also to be able to pretend that I know what I'm doing and people to believe in me, that, yes, ARMA has made it better. And I still play video games. Like, I still play... I don't play ARMA 2 anymore, but I still play Dota 2 and Counter-Strike Go. Whereas those are more small, focused games, and no one tends to have like a squad lead unless you have a designated captain. There's still things which mean I have to work as a team with people and know how to get myself taken seriously.
So, in my own experience of organising game events and LARP events and taking on some responsibility in sort of a similar way, I found myself, because I appreciate how difficult it is to take responsibility for something and get people to kind of believe in what you're trying to get them to do, that changes how I work now when I'm working for someone else. Have you found a similar experience with when you weren't a squad leader, but you had a squad leader, how you kind of interact with them and whether it changes how you view them and whether or not you follow their orders?
Yeah, no, it definitely does. So through my time after playing ARMA things, when I've worked more with editors and things for my work, I appreciate more the stress and the burden they're under, even though I'm not an editor myself. But the fact they are organising so many different things, and to have someone under their command who's well, not command because it's an editor, like, under what they're having to organise, to have someone that they can rely on and that they know they have a good back and forth with and they can trust in, it means I'm more patient with them, but I also know what they're looking for more. I hope that answered the question vaguely. Oh.
Thank you. Yeah, just wanted to say I had a similar experience myself with EVE Online. I think with that game, it wasn't quite such a rigid structure. You could start off and it could just be you and a friend, and then maybe, you know, a few more people would pile in after a while. Do you think that it's better to have the sort of rigid structure of, okay, you've got 4 squads and then a very sort of pyramid-like hierarchy, or something a bit more flexible where people can just sort of join in, or maybe say, well, I'm not so comfortable leading 4 people, maybe I'll just lead 2 or 3 for now?
I do think that has merits. The reason I chose ARMA was because, as I said, we'd have these adversarial missions. So when you're against another player, it becomes more intense. You forget you're in a game for that moment, and it has the real life pressures and stresses applied to it because you're just wanting to win in that moment. It brought out that competitive side in me, and like me being a commander, me being a squad leader, that was all voluntary. The group I played with, they used to be called Folk. They were sort of very kind. They were sort of very generous. Like, anyone who was new, they'd even let a new person try and command. even though, as I did, you might fuck everything up for them, it was still okay at the end of the day. And yeah, in Eve and things, did you used to play with a corp?
Yeah, I mean, I did everything from like one-man corps right through to sort of enormous alliances of like 200 people. I mean, like at some point, I mean, like it is very much similar experience to you. Like sometimes I would be. I wasn't a very good fleet commander in the sense that I was terrible at like calling the shots.
Yeah.
Once we got into battle, I'd be like really shit, and we'd all die in a fire. But people almost didn't. People almost didn't mind that because I was very good at like doing the actual getting people together and saying, right, we need to do this at this place and this time, and then I just ended up being the leader by default rather than because of my skills necessarily.
Yeah. And this is what I wanted to bring away. Like, as the name of this talk is, it's competition. We've talked a lot about esports, and I've talked a lot about sort of like using sports and games together, but I want to sort of focus on mainly what competition could do for us as a beneficiary thing. And yeah, no, good point, I guess. I don't really have anything else to add to it.
Okay.
I think that's everyone. Right. Thank you for being kind.